Well, hello again, everybody. Welcome back to the Huddle, the Review.com's weekly high school sports show. I'm Executive Editor Rob Toder, joined as always by Sports Editor Mike Brown. And it's week 9 of the high school football season. We got a big showdown in the NBC. But first, Mike, let's talk about the Sebring Trojans. They've been close all year, really played competitive football, and were rewarded Friday night with a victory over the Lowville Rockets.
Yeah, that was really good to see. You don't see anybody go through a season without a win. Those kids practice hard and hope for a win just like anybody else does. So, Sebring got it done. They beat Lowville 28-14 and did the job in the second half. Held serve there and got the win for Coach Scott Springer, so we're happy to see that.
Yeah, absolutely. And as a reward for the Trojans winning, they get to finish the season with McDonald and Western Reserve, and those are two tough matchups. Let's talk about the McDonald thing. The McDonald game, rather, this Friday night. Obviously, getting off to a good start is key for the Trojans in that game.
And you know what? You see this a lot of times, a team that goes without a win, and then they get a win, then you have a little bit of a confidence. I'm not saying that they're the favorite Friday night because they're not going on the road and playing a good McDonald team, but I look for a carryover there where Sebring will play well again.
Yeah, absolutely. Good luck to the Trojans. And back to the NBC, the big showdown in Louisville Friday night between the host Leopards and the Salem Quakers. Salem coming in 8-0. And Louisville is 7-1. Their only loss, a non-league game to Austintown Fitch. So both teams tied for first place in the NBC. The winner clinches his share of the NBC championship. And it's really, I guess, a battle, Mike, of wills because both teams can run the football. How well can Salem throw the football and keep up? Because I think it's going to be a high-scoring game.
Yeah, well, Salem can do both. With Matt Weingart, they've had the good air game. They really have a good running game and a nice offensive line to block for those guys. Cade Byland has been a great lead blocker for Cooper Bezzaretti this year. But on the flip side, Louisville's got Razul Young, who's having a great year in the backfield for the Leopards. And then they have the Adamses, that great air game with the two Adamses. And, the games at Louisville were, I bet Louisville, I don't know what the stats are, Rob, but I'll bet they have a winning percentage of over 90% in the last 10 years. So, it's a tall order for Salem. I think they've been up to the task so far, and obviously this will be their greatest challenge of the season, I think.
I think the question in my mind is we know Louisville, because they've done it for so many years, they can run the football, they can throw the football effectively, they can score points. I think now we know Salem has been able to score points to this point. This is obviously their toughest opponent of the year so far. I was impressed with their win against Marlington early in the season. I think a lot of people thought that was going to be a test for them, and they passed it with flying colors. So can Salem continue to score points? And because, like I said, I think it's going to be a high-scoring game and not make the mistakes that are going to kill drives.
Right. Well, and we'll see, how they react to going on the road, too. I mean, Louisville, around here, that's one of the toughest places to play and win. So I think if they can hold the fort early and withstand the emotion of playing on the road in such a great environment like Louisville, then I think they could weather that storm and be in that game. If they would get down early, that's what Louisville does to people. They'll get you down, and they go for the jugular. So that could go one of two ways come Friday night.
Yeah, that'll be a great matchup. So make sure you check out the Alliance Review and the Review.com. We'll have previews of all that coverage, and we'll also have coverage of the game in Saturday's Alliance Review as well. The other big rivalry game this week, West Branch and Marlington meeting for the 50th time. And this is an interesting matchup. Obviously, must win for West Branch. If they have playoff aspirations, they're going to have to win this football game.
Right. I was crunching their numbers this week, Rob, and I think it's going to take an 8-2. It doesn't look like a 7-3 record is going to do it. It'll be really close at 7-3, but I wouldn't want to count on that if I were them as far as getting into playoffs. But at 8-2, they would be in. They would definitely be in if they can go 8-2. But Marlington and West Branch, I think this is one of the probably the most entertaining and evenly matched matchups I've ever seen between these two in a long, long time. Because again, like Louisville and Salem, like we were talking about with them, both of them can run the ball. They both have great running backs, and both of them can throw the ball. They have really good quarterbacks. T.J. DeShields for West Branch and Chris Pennell for Marlington. Then you throw in the great skill of Garrett Floyd from Marlington, and West Branch has the great running game this year. The games at West Branch, where West Branch is pretty good at home. So I think that's going to be one of the best games of the weekend.
Yeah, that'll be a very interesting matchup as well. Make sure you check out the Review and the Review.com for previews and coverage of that game as well. Also in the NBC this week, Alliance is home to Minerva. Two teams really in search of a victory.
Right.
Alliance has one win this year. Minerva still looking for their first victory. This should be high scoring if you look at just at the numbers, because both teams are giving up about 40 points a game.
Yeah, both teams have had trouble stopping the run in particular. So yeah, that might be one of those things where whoever gets the ball last really could. It should be. And you know what? Somebody's going to get a win out of that. So that's always a good thing for younger teams that are trying to just build for next year and things like that.
Yeah. The other NBC matchup this week, Can South and Carrollton. Those teams are fighting for middle of the pack in the NBC. Also in the ITCL this week, Western Reserve plays host to Mineral Ridge. I think Western Reserve can clinch a share of the ITCL championship with that game. And United plays host to a surprising East Palestine team that 2 weeks ago knocked off Crestview, gave Crestview their first loss of the year. And then last week went to Springfield and won that game. So East Palestine at 5-3 is really playing well and looking for a playoff spot.
I think they've been one of the real surprises around. I mean, you beat Crestview. Crestvew's got a great team again this year, and they knocked them off. So I think a lot of eyebrows raised that night when that score came in, Rob.
Yeah, St. Thomas won again against a winless Cleveland Central Catholic team last week, and they play host to VASJ, Cleveland Villa Angela St. Joe, and a must-win for Aquinas. We've talked about this for a couple weeks. If they want to get in the playoffs, they've got to finish 7-3.
And this will be a tall order. Aquinas has the good running game this year. Their passing game has been a work in progress. They got a VA St. Joe team coming in that's been there and done that many times. They have to get this win if they want to make the playoffs. I think it comes down to that. They've got them at home, so I think there's an advantage there for St. Tom, but they're going to have to play well against a very quality football team come Friday night. And
in the Portage Trail Conference, Southeast with a victory in their rivalry game against Waterloo last week. Tall order for both of those teams. So Southeast goes to Mogador, or Crestwood rather, and Waterloo travels to Mogador. So tall order for both of the Pirates and the Vikings. So make sure you check out the review. As I said, we'll have previews of all these games and much more. We'll have coverage in Saturday's Alliance Review on thereview.com. And make sure you check out Pigskin Picks, the online contest, the picking contest, where you can win some great prizes as well. So for Mike Brown, this is Rob Toder. We'll see you in Week 10.